couch. My guest today is Waylon Rhoads, and I really like your name. I wrote it up there. There's no E in Rhoads, right?
That's correct. There's no E. It was a whole different family. I know them. I don't talk to them.
They're enemies.
Yes, they have the E in their last name.
And I was recently, we were kind of corresponding on the Facebook, and I noticed how quick you are and how you're kind of like a. There's not a lot of really super intelligent people on social media these days, at least not locally. There's not a lot of super high-end rhetoric out there. Like you'll see something like Brittany Bowl wrote something the other day for Muddy River about a window she put in her house. Okay, and the way she wrote it was kind of high level. The way she interacts with people about it, it's the simplest thing. She just put a window in her house.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people cannot do something like that and make it kind of high energy and like you got like 17 shares or something and everyone's talking about her window and everything. And Brittany Bowl has the ability to do something like that.
She's like a local celebrity though.
She is a
she's
local
got
celebrity.
That going for
She is.
She's awesome.
I agree. And what I notice whenever you write on social media, you write like high up in the clouds, kind of ethereal, but also grounded into the ground, and you own a jewelry store here in town in Quincy, and I'd like to talk to you about that for a second.
Sure.
But the biggest reason why we've got you on Frankie Say is kind of for your mind. No offense.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You know, and also because you make really beautiful jewelry,
thanks.
and I've got questions about that. In the green room, we did talk a bit about some of your favorite music. I went through every single artist that you wrote about what you like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
I was really impressed. It's great music. I think people should listen to it and we'll talk about it. I wrote some things here, and you really like to talk about things that most people don't think about.
Yeah.
On social media. Okay. And I think getting to know you now, we're going to like jump into all of these things. And of course, you know, and Aspen knows, I always tell Aspen, I'm like, we don't have enough time to get through all of the material. And so obviously I jump from topic to topic very quickly.
Sure.
And we'll probably do that again today.
Like I'm in no hurry. So
well, we are.
I know you guys have your time constraints, but like we can talk about whatever.
We always have about an hour.
Okay.
And maybe someday, if Aspen and Bob and David okay it, maybe we'll go longer in our pods. But right now we're limited to about an hour because there's lots of reasons for that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we're going to talk about the things I just mentioned. And then I wrote down some questions that I have for you specifically that I'm battling with personally.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm just going to tease it out real quick.
Go ahead.
How should we define a millionaire? How should we define a wealthy person? That can be spiritual, emotional, financial. Do you agree or disagree with the statement? If it requires the labor of another human being, then it's not human right. And the last one was, if we were to assume that humans are directly causing climate change, can the U.S., China, and India reverse it or stop it? And then there will be a side question in there is, do you trust all of these governments to work in tandem to reverse it or stop it? But that's the teaser.
Okay.
So you own a jewelry store.
This is a meta stuff. Okay.
No, I know. I'm jumping all around.
This is good.
Because the people who are listening sometimes
talk about this.
Yeah, sometimes the people who are listening, they kind of want to know kind of an outline of what we're going to talk about, and I don't usually present an outline like that. But today, I'm feeling honored.
Yeah, this is cool.
I'm feeling more organized.
Yeah, right on.
So tell me about your jewelry store and how many years you've been there and where you were before that.
Well, let's see. I have it's basically a glorified retail studio space. I do mostly custom work. I've been at 1205 Vermont since basically the end of 2022. I opened the beginning of 2023. So I've been there since then. I originally started out this exact business in Bend, Oregon in 2013. And I basically wanted to blaze a trail in online custom jewelry. So be able to have clients all over the world and make them and work with them online to create something made specifically for them or someone they love, right? Because it was I mean, I'm sure there were other people doing it, but there was people that I know in the industry that were kind of like, getting their website going and trying to not just sell what they make, but like make custom-made products for people. And so, sorry.
If someone were listening right now.
In 2012, I basically started a Facebook page. And so the business was originally like basically an online custom jewelry business based out of Bend, Oregon. Yeah.
If someone were listening right now and they wanted to go directly to your website while they're listening, what's your website?
It's www.rhoadsjewelry.com. RHOADS.
RHOADS.
JEWELRY.com.
Okay, great. I did go there.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. Aspen, you know how we were talking about websites and layouts? You would like his website.
I think she saw it. I showed
did
her
you see
earlier.
it?
She
It's
wants
great.
to rebrand everything for me.
She wants to change everything?
She wants to just
not
change
Aspen.
everything.
No, Aspen doesn't want to change anything.
Yeah,
She like whatever she sees, she's like, oh yeah,
She
no
sees
changes. It's perfect the way it
potential.
is. No, she's laughing. She's holding back,
Totally.
back a laugh right now. So I did go on your website.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tell you, are you telling me that you make that stuff?
Yeah, I make everything.
That's insane. How do you know how to
Kind of
do that?
insane. Well, I've been at it 20 years. I have like this crazy stubborn drive, just driven. I don't know. It's just a deep rooted passion to be like the best at what I do. Like no matter what it is that I've enjoyed doing, like I want to be able to do it the best that I can. Like I don't really compare myself to other people. I try to I know what is possible. And I know that there are things that I'm continually learning and trying to perfect and master. But like, I'm a nerd about this. Like I want to constantly improve, constantly learn new things, and I don't settle. Like if I get comfortable, I'm like not growing basically. And so I've pushed myself. I work every day. I've worked every day pretty much for like 10 years in a row. I don't take vacations. I work on every single day pretty much. I rarely take a day off. Like I'm so driven to like be able to make real treasure for people, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I like how you use the word treasure. When I was looking through your website, I was looking at some of those pieces. Some of those pieces look like something you would find in a treasure chest.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gorgeous.
That's what I try to like. I grew up playing a lot of role-playing games, Final Fantasy, and like just role-playing games where you're out on an adventure and you do find treasure. You're looking for treasure as like a mission, right? And so, I don't know. I have a vivid imagination. I like to play. I have fun doing jewelry, but it's like a form of play for me. So I do enjoy it every day. That's why I'm doing it every day, because I really do like love what I do. But I also I feel like so much jewelry that's available, like commercially available. It's not made in the United States. It's made overseas. It's imported. And I feel like a lot of people that have a lot of money, they tend to like settle for less than what is possible because it's a huge rock or whatever. But there's a lot of things that I feel like a lot of people need to learn about, like what real true luxury, like what it can be and what it is and what I've done, because I try to make some of the best stuff that is available.
I will tell you, looking at Waylon's website, there is some definite luxury in there. And I mean, that's a huge compliment.
Thank you.
Are lab diamonds really diamonds? How do you feel
They
about
are
lab
really diamonds. Yeah, they're just not mined out of the earth. Humans have come up with a technology that it's almost like magic, but it's just heavy industry. Using like high pressure and high temperature. I'm not sure if they're like induction. I don't know if it's not induction. I don't know a lot about how they're made,
Right.
But I do know that they are made of carbon. They are chemically identical to diamond because they are diamond. It's just that we've gotten to the point where we can make that stuff now.
So how does that work? Because I don't know if I should ask you certain questions about are you using real diamonds or lab diamonds?
I do both. I do both.
You do?
Yeah, I sell both.
Okay.
It's just whatever people want.
Are lab diamonds more expensive or less expensive?
Lab diamonds are significantly less expensive.
Interesting.
And it's been like in my industry, I'm a member of like several groups on Facebook. One is Jewelers Helping Jewelers, and the person who started it's from Chicago. So it's got 31,000 members, and a lot of them are invested in like mined diamonds, and so they hate the lab grown diamonds because it is like annihilating their business model. Well, so there's like this big disruption that's happened within the diamond trade that, lab grown diamonds have, just that's what people want because they are diamonds and they're significantly cheaper.
And so do you find that people who are wearing diamonds, generally speaking, and so I'm trying to think of how long lab grown diamonds have been around. Is this how new is this?
I mean, we've been capable of doing that since the 50s. What? But it hasn't been like available at a mass scale until like, I think like the last 10 years maybe.
So De Beers is that kind of that diamond cartel out of Africa or South Africa or somewhere where, so
they used to be, but they're not what they used to be. There's a lot of big players in the game.
Okay. And so, how it's just kind of odd. The whole technology thing is really interesting. So you've got, how 100 years ago people were dying of diarrhea and TB and influenza and
their teeth.
And their teeth are falling out. And there's this whole, with technology, people are putting, the government's putting fluoride in the water. And that is, I don't know if that's controversial or not, but for some people it is. Is the fake diamond thing, not fake, I shouldn't say fake. Because they're real diamonds.
Man-made. They're just made by
man-made diamonds. Yeah. Is there any stigma when someone's wearing a lab-grown diamond? Is there any stigma? Is it something where they feel, okay, let's just assume that, because not all, some women or men, whoever wearing a diamond on their ring finger, maybe it's a wedding ring or something. Is there any stigma of a lab-grown diamond, or do people ask, say, oh, that's so beautiful? Is that
maybe? I think it just depends on the person. I think it's too recent of a phenomenon in our culture for there to be like an established cultural stigma or non-stigma to it. We're making the history right now, and so we'll have to look back and see if there was, how this affects people. It's going to take time to see if it's a stigma or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to make a piece, like a ring, or what's your typical turnaround time? If someone comes in and says, I want a ring, and then you've got do you have a series of questions that you ask them?
So you have like a questionnaire they can fill out.
How does that process go?
I have it. It's all written down on my website. And so they basically will tell me that they've seen something I like and want something similar to that. And so I just find out what materials they want, what gems they want, give them a price, and then go from there.
Can you use any kind of materials? I mean, do you hunt around for different metals?
Well, I don't have to do any hunting for that anymore. I have vendors that supply all that stuff for me, but I mostly just work in gold, platinum, and silver.
Okay.
Yeah, just precious metals. Anything else that'll contaminate my tools in my shop, and don't really want to mess with that.
No titanium?
No, not really. I guess I do work with I don't know if you saw the Mokume Gagne jewelry I made.
I don't know.
It's like copper and brass, or bronze actually, but it's not like a ferrous metal, so it won't contaminate my tools.
So you use gold, silver, did you say platinum?
Platinum. And occasionally palladium, but I don't get a lot of requests for that.
Yeah. Is palladium, is that what's found in catalytic converters?
Is, I believe, yeah.
Is it platinum? Mm-hmm. Now palladium is palladium.
It's an element. It's in the platinum family. There's I think 6 different platinum family metals. So it's platinum, palladium, osmium, iridium, ruthenium, and rhodium.
Dang.
Yeah.
Is rhodium, is that named after your family?
No. It's the most expensive of the platinum family metals, though. I mean, there was a point where it was almost, I think, over $12,000 an ounce for rhodium.
What's the most expensive piece you've made or sold? Or is that kind of private?
No. I made a platinum ring, had 6.83 carats total weight with the diamonds. The center stone was a 5.01 carat modified brilliant cushion cut. That was I think JVS1, so the color and clarity, and it had excellent grade to it, and cutting grade. And I sold that for $80,000. and I sold the world's, or I didn't sell them, but I set the world's largest pair of Forever 10 diamonds. So it was like 3 carat in each ear, and those sold for $130,000.
Jeez.
So, like, I've made some big stuff. I'm working on a nice big pendant now that's like several tens of thousands of dollars. So, I do get those high-end clients because I do what I do. They once they see, like, a lot of people, if they know what they're looking at and they see my work, like, they know that I'm the guy for the job.
So kind of preparing for this pod, I was sitting on my bed and I was going through your website and I was very impressed. And sometimes I'm sitting in bed and my kids are jumping all over me. They're like, "Daddy, what are you doing?" So my kids sometimes, this is kind of a problem. I don't know. Do you have do you have a daughter?
I have a 14-year-old daughter, yeah.
Okay. So this is maybe you can help me with this. Does your 14-year-old daughter, when she sees you on your phone, does she assume you're working or you're playing?
It's usually not working. I'm usually like scrolling, or like I've been playing Block Drop. It's like Block Blast. It's like a YouTube playable game. I've been playing like the last 2 days.
Really?
And it's just like, it's kind of like Tetris, but it's just like a ADHD game, just to sit there and like, if I need to step away from my bench for a second, I'll like try to, I'll get on there, and I don't want to, like, if I don't want to break my flow, like I don't want to occupy my mind with like ideas or debate people or whatever, I will just refrain from that and just play a game, and then I'll be done with it and get back to work. But
I love all of these games that you could pick up on your phone. There's so many things to do. But anyway, I'm sitting in bed.
Yeah.
My kids are jumping all over me, and they're like, "Daddy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you working or playing?" Because sometimes I'm playing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm screwing around watching something, and sometimes I'm working. Sometimes I'm emailing or checking systems. But last night I'm in bed and I'm looking at some of your products, and my almost 10-year-old daughter, she's like, "What is that?" She's like scrolling through, very impressed. And so she's like, "Can you buy that one for me?" And I noticed you've got some moderately priced things on your website, things that I can afford.
Right.
And then there's some, you are definitely catering to kind of programming towards a really like kind of a higher market,
right,
in some ways.
Yeah. Well, as much as I've trained myself to have the skills that I have and to spend the money I have on the tools that I have, it's going to benefit my career the most to try to like pursue to make the most valuable things that I possibly can, right? Like a lot of people will find like a technique or a certain production process that they are able to like make, they're able to make sales, but they have to make like 50 of the same piece. Or I would rather just make one piece and spend 50 times as long making it if I have to,
Right.
But I feel like, it's my destiny that I'm going to like take control of. And I really want to make like the most amazing things that are in existence. Like that's my main goal in life, is to make the most amazing things possible and not have any regrets about it. Just make truly amazing things that like I imagine, archaeologists in the future, like, 3,000 years from now, when they see that piece, they're going to be like, wow, it'll be like a relic that speaks volumes of the time that we live in, or of our era, And
I feel like, so taking a look at, how Quincy is the gem city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know if I kind of like mentioned that a few days ago about, living in the gem city, and, you're putting these amazing gems inside this jewelry and whatnot. But it reminds me of just like the wealth when I'm scanning through and looking at different apps on my phone. Sometimes like Egyptian jewelry will pop up, mm-hmm. or you're taking a look at have you ever seen like when those pharaohs are being unearthed,
right?
And I don't know if that's offensive to people, these pharaohs being unearthed after being mummified for thousands of years.
I'd imagine, yeah.
But some of them are, so let's sidestep that for a second. Some of them are being buried with this incredible jewelry and mm-hmm. gold, and then everything means something.
Right.
and there's these inscriptions on here,
Right.
and that stuff is priceless, I think, to some extent.
Yeah, if they're a one of a kind piece and they're from antiquity like that, like you can't remake those, you know. Yeah, it's like almost priceless, you know. But there's usually a price for everything, so especially these days.
Is there a price for everything?
Yeah,
I feel like there is.
I think so. Yeah,
That's weird. So like even
there has to be, right?
I feel like
There is nothing that has intrinsic value. Like there's nothing that's sacred or that's beyond money, right? Anymore.
That's a strong claim. Yeah, and it's not that I disagree with that.
What's sacred mean anymore? Besides, like, you know, as far as like things that exist in the world, and there's nothing that's like, oh, we can't. That's totally off limits to having like market mechanisms applied to it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Everything can be turned into a commodity these days. It seems.
Yeah, it's kind of like I feel like my liver is priceless. Like I really don't want to do without my liver.
Yeah.
But I could probably get rid of it and buy a new one for something.
Yeah, I mean, if you have enough money, you can. Yeah, sure.
I wonder how much does a liver cost in the open market, Aspen?
I don't think there's an open market.
Not really what you want me to look up right now.
No, not really.
I don't think there's an open market for that stuff. You probably don't want to participate.
It's a closed market.
Yes.
It's the closed market and or the black market.
Yeah, very dark.
So
place.
Aspen, just so you know, the way that I met Waylon was through social media. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes you meet people. Well, we did meet. No, that's not true.
Yeah, no, we met before, yeah.
We met before that at the Corinthian.
Uh-huh. Totally.
Yeah. At a district open house event.
That's right.
That's when we met.
Yeah. So wearing the Zelda shirt and it's like a metallic blue blazer with the Zelda shirt. It was like business and.
Did I comment about the Legend of Zelda shirt?
Dude. We talked about that gold copy of the second Legend of Zelda game. It's like the gold Nintendo, the NES.
That's the
gold
first
game.
That's the first one.
Is it the first one?
Yeah.
It might be.
It's the first one. It's the original NES.
Yeah.
The original Legend of Zelda on the original Nintendo Entertainment System was completely just gold, shiny amazing. Gold, like a piece of treasure.
Yeah,
and it felt like that too.
Totally.
When you're trying to find the Triforce and put that stuff back together.
Yeah.
Do you play video games?
You bet.
Are you a gamer?
You bet. Yeah, I've been playing video games since like the Atari 2600. Oh, I did play Pong too, but I was born in '81, so as soon as I could hold a controller, I was pretty much playing video games.
Do you think playing video games helps you with your day job? With dexterity?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are doctors here in Quincy, and I won't name them because I don't know if they want me to say this out loud, but there are surgeons in town that play video games, and they play video games because they like them.
Yeah.
And they've been playing them for 20, 30 or longer years. Maybe 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years almost. Yeah,
40 years
since Nintendo came out.
And they do it because they can. So they're using robotics and they're using their own controllers when they're doing surgery.
Yeah,
and they say that the video games are actually teaching them the dexterity to use the robots
for sure
and conduct surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And the video game is a non-stressful way for them to practice
that skill set.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For not screwing up. So that's really interesting. So I'm always trying to find ways. I wrote on Facebook the other day about I'm not playing video games, but I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you wrote something like, dude, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
I think you.
I think I did.
I think you were encouraging me. Because there's this new world where you see people in cyberspace,
right,
and then you see people out of cyberspace. So I think it's important to connect on multi levels.
Yeah, I agree.
Which brings me back to your Facebook posts.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because, and I know you've got that passion about jewelry, and I know you've got a passion about music, and I already told you I listened to all that stuff.
Yeah, what was your
okay? Before we go into like the super deep, the abyss, because we're about to get into the abyss here in a minute, but I just want to look at this. Okay, where does it say? Where's Waylon? Okay.
You like Donnie Benet? Did you listen to Donnie Benet?
I listened to everything you sent. Yeah. Okay, so real quick here. Goodness. Okay. It's right here. You said blockhead.
Yeah.
Brock Berrigan,
Yes.
John Carroll Kirby. Now
Yep.
these are all things that Waylon listens to, not even in your spare time. Do you listen to this at work?
Yeah, totally. This is what I work to.
Kiefer, Kiefer,
Uh-huh.
and several other musicians on Stone's Throw Records.
Correct.
What does that mean? You listen to musicians on
There's just a
Stone's
lot of really good musicians on Stone's Throw.
Throw? Okay. So just the Blockhead, Brock Berrigan, John Carroll Kirby, just those three. You can go down a rabbit hole on all three of those.
For sure.
And if anybody wants to listen to this, you just go to Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere,
Apple, yeah.
YouTube. You can go anywhere and start listening to this. Blockhead, Brock Berrigan, John Carroll Kirby, Kiefer. So this is the kind of music that you can put on when you're having a party
Right.
or if you're making dinner.
It's experience enhancing music.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Aspen, I do want you to jump on this. What music do you listen to?
Pretty much anything besides country or show tunes, with the exception of Hairspray, Annie, and Mamma Mia. I also don't do heavy metal.
Oh, okay. That's such a good answer. I like how you started it with no country.
It's important.
Can't do it.
I can't do it either. I can't do it.
It's all like beer, guns, God, and naked women on a back road in my truck.
Okay, well, those
and
are
that's
all
pretty
things
much
that
it.
I love a lot, but I'm
I mean,
sick
to each
of
their
hearing
own.
about it. Those are all things that I'm all down with. Every single thing that you said, I'm down with. But man, these country songs, oh my gosh! If there's anybody listening,
Well, there's
to
like a
this that doesn't
formula.
like country,
There's a known
oh, man.
formula for how they compose country music songs. There's a certain beat, a certain tempo, a certain key change, a certain it's all like math and engineered.
Right.
Like I don't know any country musicians, so I don't what I've heard, like just being out and about, like going shopping or whatever, like they play country and stuff at stores. But like, yeah, I just know that like country labels and country music, it has like a proven, it's like a science that, if they use this formula, there's just going to be nothing but bangers from every musician that follows that formula.
Right. And what is that? Is it Morgan Wallen? Is that the guy's name? You have no idea, right?
No idea.
You just took complete tune. I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Morgan Wallen. Is that the name? Am I really screwing up that name? Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like
I just said I don't listen to
You
country
don't listen to
music. No.
Yeah, it's like
She's
the
not
first
kidding.
thing.
She's not kidding. She's like, I do not listen to it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's none of us listen to country. And
I listen. Okay, so I do like old Vince Gill. I do. I was named after Waylon Jennings, so I kind of like
You
his
were?
older. Yeah, Waylon Jennings. That's who I was named after. Yeah.
wow.
So.
So
So
Waylon
there's
Jennings,
that. But
That's
like
different. Like old country, like
yeah,
that.
it's
So
like outlaw country, right? That's like,
yeah, like Johnny Cash.
yeah. Waylon,
Johnny
Willie and
Cash is
the
the
Boys,
only
Willie
country artist I will
Nelson.
listen to.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's like the musicians were writing their own music and playing their own tunes. They weren't following the formula.
Yeah, and some of it is just very dark and kind of heartfelt and very experiential, where a lot of these, like the new really popular thing is this rap and country music combination. It's very bad. By the way, we are wasting precious radio time here talking about country.
Okay, yeah.
We don't even need to talk about or listen to it.
But yeah,
It's the only thing I believe in banning.
Yeah.
I don't believe in banning anything.
I mean, people
except
should be able
for-
to listen to whatever.
I'm kidding.
But yeah.
I'm kidding.
But like, I wanted to make a point about the Australian music, because there's something going on down there that like it just seems like they're having way more fun.
Okay, what's going on with it?
Did you listen to the Australian? Like I listed some Australian musicians.
You did.
Yeah,
You
Donny
mentioned-
Benet,
Here's
Harvey
who.
Sutherland.
Here's who.
Mild
you mentioned.
Life, Parcels.
You mentioned Harvey Sutherland, Donny Benet,
Donny Benet's a banger. Yeah, he's so awesome.
Parcells,
Yeah, the Parcels.
the Parcels,
Yeah.
Mild Life,
Uh-huh.
Pond, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah.
From Australia?
I think so. Perth. Yeah, there's a lot of bands from Perth, Australia. Like the
All
music
right.
scene in Perth, Australia is like pretty dang good.
Have you listened to French music, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Wax Taylor. Anami. I could look it up. But yeah, there's some good French musicians for sure. Like I guess like he's like the grandfather of electric music was from France. It's like I learned recently the difference between electronic music and electronica. Is that electronica is electric music that isn't designed for people to dance to be listened to. It's just to be listened to. Or like electronic music is dance music.
Right.
So
right.
it's like what's the difference? Because I see the language being used. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But it does make
Facts.
sense because I listen to both those styles.
Yeah.
But I never put two and two. But electronica, some of these first artists that you're talking about feels electronica.
It could be, yeah. I mean, it's
or is
both.
it dance?
Well, like John Carroll Kirby is like a real. I wouldn't say that's dance music. It's very like emotional and like inspiring music, right? But it's like he's like one of those musicians that has a soul, and like he is just so passionate about his craft and his art. And so like I really seek out musicians that they have the ability to just go for they create the music that they want to create with their own soul. And that's kind of what Stone's Throw Records seems like they enable their artists to be able to make the music they want to make, as opposed to some other labels that they want their musicians to have a certain image, a certain sound, and a certain look, and to push certain products and all that kind of stuff. Where it's like real independent musicians. Basically.
I sent some correspondence to you just now about some of these, so you can check it out if you want to see it. Okay. When we kind of teased some of these questions, but before we go into that, I want to ask you, when we were going through some of our prelims, you and I, when kind of green rooming over the past 24 hours, you mentioned the word polymath.
Right.
And you said that a lot of your passions have to do with self-enrichment, with knowledge, and attempting to understand the nature of the universe and our place in it.
Yeah.
And so we can talk about jewelry for hours, I'm sure. And I have off camera, I've got some side questions for you about jewelry, but I'd like to kind of transition.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I'm transition into kind of your other passions, because whenever I'm reading what you're writing online, I immediately think to myself, this guy has to come on a podcast, because we've got some reoccurring people like David Samuels, Mike Scholl, Kate Daniels, Dr. Coffey from QU. There's a number of people, the number of guests that we have on repeat.
Right.
Because they're really fun. Like, as a matter of fact, we had on Ashley Burnett a couple weeks ago. She's a person that we'd have to come on 2 or 3, 4 times to even kind of capture what she's all about, because there's so much depth to her that like a 52-minute pod, you can't capture all this.
Just scratching.
And same thing with you.
Yeah,
you know?
Appreciate that, dude.
When you the word polymath, just is something that's kind of capturing your attention right now. Can you tell me about it?
Well, it's like, I'm not trying to claim that I'm one. I've really always admired if you do any kind of like searches on like the great thinkers of human history, Leonardo da Vinci is probably the most famous one, but it's basically just a polymath is just someone that is like an expert in many different fields of study. And I feel like my pursuit is because, I think of myself as like a philosopher. I've always, even since I was a little kid, I've always thought of myself as like a philosopher. Like I want to like be productive with thought and really I basically want to be foolproof in my thinking. And
foolproof?
Yeah, to make it so that I'm not being misled by any, or being scammed or being defrauded. Ever since the first time I ever fell for like an internet scam, right? I was like trying to get business funding, and it's like, send us money and we will send you a list. We'll send you to we'll get you in touch with all the right people to fund your business. Sent the money, and it's like, well, here's a list of all these people. Go ahead and call them up, and that was it. And it was like a lot of money. And then before I moved from Bend to the Midwest, like I received a call from someone that said they were from they're like a law enforcement agent for the sheriff's department, and they had like warrants out for my arrest because I had received summons for jury duty, but apparently got lost in the mail. But because I didn't show up to jury duty, there were warrants out for my arrest. But all I needed to do was like go get money and take it to, basically I wasn't awake at the time. I just fell for the stupid scam, and I like I cannot continue to like be, and he's really good though. Like he's like the Michael Jordan of scammers. Like he definitely got one over me, And ever since then, I've just been so furious about like how can I prevent myself from being fooled, and like just being lied to and believe lies. I don't want to be misled by anything or anybody, any institution or any corporation. Like I want to know, like, if they're making claims about anything, I like to, especially if it's something that goes against like the normal knowledge base of what we think we know that's true about reality.
Do you think more and more people are building a critical mass of trying to avoid the echo chamber? So, for example, some people see something on a flat screen, like the news, for example, like mainstream media or legacy media, or really anything.
Anything.
And
it could be podcasts.
Anything. It could be podcasts.
Yeah.
It could be really any source. And they see it or they hear it, and they just have a tendency to believe it. Or if they hear it 2 or 3 times, they think it's true. And there's this, and I think this happened a lot during this last pandemic scare, which, in 2020, we were hearing things in 2021, 2022. I mean, people were really going haywire. And do you think humans are moving away from echo chamber or towards echo chamber?
It just really depends on the media they're consuming and how much faith they have in it, because I feel like a lot of people that are really into a very specific, like if they only have like one source of media that they are very loyal to and they don't deviate from that, I feel like those are the types of people that aren't as critical, and they want to be able to like hear the information that their favorite person is telling them, and they're absorbing it into themselves and like almost making it a part of their identity, and like that one, I don't remember that the psychologist's name that you had commented on, how it's like we are not our thoughts, we're different than like the ideas that we allow occupy our mind.
Sure.
And so a lot of people will just like, they'll literally take on the news and they'll listen to their favorite talking head or whatever, and then just like repeat everything they're saying. And it's almost like a beacon for some people to like, they have to listen to them every day to know what's going on in the world, or to feel like they're a part of like a group of thought. Like they want to be a part of the group of people that think a certain way, They want to adopt beliefs that help them identify who they are with other people that believe the same,
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tribal do you think the average human is?
I mean, very. I don't know I don't know.
It's just your opinion.
Yeah, probably very.
I'm going to say close to 10. I'm going to say
Yeah.
9.8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really scary thing. Well, everybody wants to be, if someone's inside their family, they really want to identify that they're a part of that family.
Right.
Or, we just adopted this cat recently, and it's the cutest cat, and it's taken some time for the cat to kind of be in our family. And I asked my wife, I'm like, so is this cat in our family now? My wife goes, yeah. Now
the cats adopt humans, not the other way around.
That's true.
We think that we adopt cats, so they adopt us.
Totally. Yeah. And, I was related to I related to sports a lot. I related to politics. So if somebody feels like they're a Democrat or a Republican, whatever their club says, they just tend to kind of back that.
Right.
They will repeat the things that their club said.
Yeah, they're just treating it like it's a sport, like they're cheering for a sports team. They got their favorite players, they cheer them on, and
right.
It's it's like they don't treat politics. I don't think you should treat politics as like cheering for your favorite football team or whatever. It requires so much more of us as like a free people that are supposed to be like participating in their democracy. You know, really like it requires us to be as informed as we can be in order to make the best decisions that are based off of like the most amount of facts, right? Like that's what I would assume.
You said something that I kind of hung on to, and I'm trying to model this. I'm trying to model a little bit of what you've said recently into my own life. We were talking, Aspen, we were kind of talking about him and I were corresponding, and I was talking about I kind of identified myself as, and if I mess this up, correct me, but I said something like, oh, I think I'm like a libertarian, trad con, classic liberal. And then, because we were talking about capitalism and socialism and communism, we're talking about different socioeconomic theories, which I think this is like a passion of yours to discuss.
Yeah, just to discuss because
it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
And then I asked you, you know, kind of your evolution, and you said that you were some of these different pieces of the puzzle and some of the ones that I did not include. And then and then you said, but I'm not really that anymore. And that begged the question. So I asked the question.
What am I? Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah.
And you said, I'm Waylonian.
Yeah, Waylonian, yeah. I'm trying to like build my own kind of the whole premise of all of this, right? For me is that like we are in a really privileged state in all of human history to have the amount of knowledge that we have access to at any given point in time, right? And it's more like I think of these polymaths of history, like Leonardo da Vinci, right? Super intelligent, but he didn't even know basic biology. He didn't even know, like, there's a thing about how he didn't know how the penis worked or something like that.
Really?
It's just, I don't know. There's just all these things that like they had no idea really about like the rest of the world. And now that we are connected with the rest of the world in so many different ways, like we should try to do our best to learn about that world and learn like what's going to work for us, what's not working, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and not like go at that with our own bias attached to it. Just do it openly, like we're kids learning this stuff for the first time. And that's how I try to like approach everything. I'm very curious, and I don't like to hold on to ideas that are going to prevent me from learning about things, right? Because I want to learn about as many things as I can learn about, and not let my own bias or my own prejudices. I try to identify my prejudices, but I don't want those things to prevent me from learning about something that may oppose a currently held belief, you know? And so like, I don't know, there's no limits to what I'm willing to like read about. Like I can read about Karl Marx without being a communist or a socialist. I can read about, like Milton Friedman and not be like a diehard game theory capitalist. You know, it's just I'm trying to learn and like what great minds have thought of before and try to take that. And like, we're like the first generation of humans to have like all the libraries at the palm of our hand. And we should like really like consider how, there are a lot of really bad ideas that have been proven to really like with demonstrable evidence that they are bad ideas, and we should like abandon those for better ideas. Like we should constantly try to like challenge our previously held beliefs about things in order to see a better future, because like if we don't adapt, you know, adaptation is human nature. Like our nature is to adapt to our environment in the most basic sense of it. Adapt, survive, procreate, you know, and then everything else comes secondary to that. But we should really try to learn about this world, like climate change and stuff. We could touch on that real quick.
Yeah, let's touch about it. So
like
Mike, so to your point, you're saying, by the way, this puts you in the top 1% of the world, or the top 0.5%. I'm dead serious. You literally just said, I don't want to learn something, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't want to learn something that's going to keep me from learning something else. And before I learn that thing, I want to make sure that truth is entering into the vibe.
Yeah, totally.
And I want truth in and I want truth out, without the libations of necessarily like unnecessary persuasion or things like you're trying to figure stuff out, which this is fascinating to me like talk to you about this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of people that think like that. So you want to talk about this? question?
Yeah, and so just to reiterate what you're saying, like my approach is like the Greeks, they did dialectics, right? And dialectics is different than debate in that the goal of a dialectical discussion is to find truth from each other's perspectives, right? You have your thesis, your idea, and then you have your like antithetical or like the opposition to that idea. And instead of like each side like rigorously defending their own viewpoint, the discussion should be more about like understanding each other's viewpoint and then coming up with a new synthesis, a new idea. The negation of the negation, the formulation of better ideas based off of like taking the good things of each idea and trying to eliminate the negative aspects of each idea.
I have a question for Aspen. Aspen went to the School of Journalism at Mizzou, right? She went through the whole process. Graduated. Congrats. Was there anything like that? And so in modern university, there's this thought out there that university is ultra of kind of either progressive, statist, or maybe not as well absorbed into the Stoics, not necessarily. And maybe, what is your opinion on when you went to Mizzou? Did they do any of that kind of study of the other side of what Waylon's talking about? Was there anything in your debate or journalism classes? Was anything when like going through journalism school? Did you guys or did Mizzou teach anything about what he's talking about, or is that a really hard question to answer on the spot?
It's not that I don't know how to answer it. I don't understand what you're asking me. If you could
be
a little bit more
just like
specific.
Epistemology, and it's a philosophy basically. Philosophy is broken into three major branches: logic, ethics, epistemology, and then metaphysics is like a fourth one. But
when you're like, so in journalism, when you're trying to understand something, or I guess journalism isn't necessarily a debate. But
no, it's an investigation.
It's
supposed to be like a truthful, honest, like bias-free investigation into happenings.
Is that the heart of journalism? Is going into the other
Telling
side
people about
and
what's
telling
happening.
people about what's happening and trying to figure it out. So instead of like defending something, you know, some journalists are writing to defend their side as opposed to going into the other side and finding the truth in that side and steelmanning that case. And then writing both sides of it, which I don't know if I don't feel like journalism.
Well, journalism isn't
like
necessarily like trying to I don't think it's necessarily trying to persuade one way or the other. It's just like reporting. It's supposed to report objective fact and events and occurrences, right?
I think maybe what you're wanting to. I still am kind of confused on what you're asking me, but in terms of the concept of objectivity and trying to get to the truth of something, I think that I learned to view that concept a lot differently throughout my time there, mainly in a sense of you think of objectivity and you think about balance, and then you kind of think of, okay, well, if Frankie's going to sit here and say that it's raining outside and Waylon's going to look out the window and say, no, it's not. I'm not going to say, well, so-and-so said that it was raining and so-and-so said that it wasn't. I'm going to say, Frankie said that it was raining, but we just went outside and it's not raining.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're giving that representation, but not always is there equal weight given because not always
evidence is the weight typically.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's the part that is, I think, debated by average people on an everyday basis of what is journalism and what is the purpose of it. I mean, there's several purposes of it, but at the heart of it is looking at the information that is in front of you, doing what you need to do to make sense of it and to get to a sensical conclusion as to whatever it is that's going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and which reminds me, you asked me a question earlier. Yes to the camera. Going forward, you know what?
Okay, yeah.
Camera, no camera.
Yeah.
Yes to the camera, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So can we jump into some of these questions?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, because so kind of to tease the questions again is how should we define a millionaire? How should we define a wealthy person?
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree with the statement? If it requires the labor of another human being, then it's not a human right. And lastly, if we were to assume that humans are directly causing climate change, can the U.S., China, and India reverse it or stop it? And really more to the point, will they? Not can they, do they have the ability, with all the perfect technology, like will they?
No, they won't, and no, they can't.
Oh, interesting. So are you a climate change denier?
No, not at all.
Okay, interesting.
No. We've locked in like a lot of heating. Just like we've locked in like a certain amount of heating already. Because that CO2, it doesn't really like exit the environment. Like there's this carbon cycle and stuff, but like we put billions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year, and we've burned more fossil fuels in the last 30 years than all of human history combined. Yeah, and that's like it's billions and billions and billions of tons of CO2.
Sure.
That is in the system now. And like we don't even keep track of methane. And methane like heats the atmosphere like 84 times hot, it absorbs 84 times the amount of heat energy that CO2 does. It's a way more potent greenhouse gas, basically. So, like, I don't have any like I don't know. I just feel like that we're not being told a lot of the actual like what is really possible for how bad it can really get. Because like, the jet stream, for example, we've seen this crazy extreme weather happening. Record heat, like last year was the hottest year in 100,000 years, hottest year in recorded history. Like you can't just pull heat energy out of the earth. Like it's there. Like we're losing albedo from the loss of sea ice. Like that ice reflects solar energy back out into space. The blue ocean absorbs that heat energy. And there are more, like the surface of the planet is absorbing more solar energy now than it has ever because of that loss of sea ice. And like everything's melting. Like it's something that actually terrifies me, to be honest. Like I know a lot about, I've been keeping up with this stuff since I was in third grade. And I've witnessed like what has happened since then. Loss of life, like wildlife is down 74%. Winged insects have almost vanished. Like 80% of winged insects. It may not be that high, but like most of them, like the biomass is like down.
Not mosquitoes.
Yeah, it's all winged insects.
Quincy has a mosquito problem, but carry on.
But yeah, they have a pretty readily available source of food.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Me.
Because there's not a lot, us. Yeah. We're like the most prolific species on the planet right now. So we are definitely affecting the way that the planet is right now. There's no doubt. Like,
yes.
It takes a vast amount of willful ignorance to deny that, honestly.
Do you think that you would sleep better at night if you knew less? Because I often think about
honestly,
I'm
sleep
like,
pretty good.
I wish I feel like I know too much and that stresses me out.
Yeah,
because before I like started looking into more things that I just had zero control over, I feel like I things were maybe chiller, and now I'm like, I know too much. Just take me out of the game at this point.
Yeah, no, I don't think I
know
know too much. But what I do know, I feel like it does illustrate a pretty good picture to like be concerned about, to say the least. Yeah.
So that's the scientific. Let's from a science perspective. There's all of the different models that are used to illustrate climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's both of those things for sure.
So, but here's a political question:
Mm-hmm.
is if the United States assumed and confiscated more wealth from the individuals that are living inside the continental United States, and you can include Alaska and Hawaii, if they extracted more wealth, like for example, if everybody was taxed an extra 10%, they take that money, take that wealth away from the people. Can that stop climate change?
No, I mean, there's nothing in a government. Like it's going to take like,
What if they extracted
like
20%?
orders of magnitude bigger than like the World War II effort to like try to do anything to reverse it?
What if they extracted 20%? If they raised taxes 20% on everybody?
You're missing the point. Like, there's no amount of tax that's gonna save us, dude.
I agree.
Yeah, but
yeah,
that's no reason to not do anything, because we have to adapt. Like that's the main thing. We have to adapt, and so we have to build homes differently. Because I don't know if you know this, but like insurance companies have like increased premiums to own a home like significantly, right? And like in Iowa, for example, in Marshalltown, Iowa, it got destroyed by like a tornado or something last year. People have to have like certain roofs installed on their houses. They have to pay like almost $10,000 a year for to have their house be insured. And if your house can't be insured, no bank's gonna like finance a mortgage for that home. So like down in Florida, all those people that lost their homes and all that epic flooding with Milton and the other big one that came through and just ran train on everyone. Like that epic amount of rainfall is a direct result of the atmosphere's ability to hold on to more moisture because it's hotter. You don't get 15 inches of rain in a day, without a tremendous amount of heat energy being able to lift like trillions of gallons of water into the atmosphere from the ocean and drop it on land. It takes a ton of energy to do that.
It's weird. I feel like, remember when Al Gore was saying that, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 12 years, 15, 20 years, the sea levels are going to rise and cover Florida. What really kind of stinks is when politicians and even scientists, to be honest, scientists do the same thing, where they issue these warnings that are not really rooted, or they might be rooted in some kind of personal reality or scientific reality of the time, and they extrapolate incorrectly. They say this is what's going to happen at this date, and then it doesn't happen. So, for example, Florida, people keep buying real estate in Florida, right next to the water. They'll buy something on the water. My family and I, we went to Key West recently. And Key West was, I remember we were getting the rent-a-car, and the guy goes, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, Illinois. He goes, "Oh, Chicago?" I'm like, "No, but thank you for playing." Illinois. We live on the Mississippi. I don't even say things like Quincy, Illinois.
Right,
that's just not. Yeah. I just say we live in Illinois on the Mississippi, and that's good enough for them. So he's looking at me kind of quizzically and says, "So you're gonna go to the island?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you go through a travel agent?" I go, "No." He goes, "Okay. Do you know what's going on with the island? There was a hurricane here 2 years ago, and it obliterated the island, just destroyed it. It's under construction. Right. So are you sure you want to do that? Who told you to go?" And we're in. Wait, did I say? So no, not.
It's Key West.
It's not Key West. It's oh goodness, where the heck did we go? I'll think of it.
There's an island off the coast of Florida.
Yeah. Why am I saying Key West? I have been to Key West. I can't think of.
Yeah, like those places.
Once
they get destroyed, it does take weeks. It takes years to rebuild those towns and stuff. Like.
Yeah, it's like around like Siesta Key and like south of Punta Gorda, and we were just on this island. And he goes, "This is. Do you realize what you're doing?" Well, we went there, and sure enough, the whole place was under construction. It was 2 years later, after the last hurricane, that destroyed the whole area.
Yeah.
And then, after we left, two more, like to your point, 2 more hurricanes came sweeping through and is destroying Florida. Right. And now, finally, insurance companies are saying, "Yeah, we don't really want to insure this anymore." And people are saying, "Yeah, you know what?
How can they? They can't.
They can't do it. They can't do it. If there's a 20% chance that in the next 3 to 5 years a hurricane's going to come through and destroy that house again, then why would they want to insure that?
Right.
Why would they want to do that? So back to Al Gore's point.
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't say that. He said the ocean levels were going to rise 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, or whatever he said, and was going to completely cover Florida. But the celebrities and the super hardcore people who agree with everything the media says, they keep on buying those properties. in
Well, Al
Florida.
Gore also became a billionaire with the carbon tax credit scheme. Like, I mean, he totally he threw capitalism at climate change and made a killing off of it. Because like if those carbon tax credits the whole like carbon trading thing was designed to like, I guess, do something to reduce CO2 emissions, but they've only gone up like an incredible amount. So it did nothing. It's just a way for him to like come up with a new way to, profit from climate change.
So Al Gore went from a millionaire to a billionaire.
I'm pretty sure.
Is he a billionaire? Which, by the way, Fort Myers is the island I was
he made a
about.
killing off of it. That's how he like made most of his wealth, was basically doing speeches and then coming up with like the carbon tax credit schemes, that the buying and selling of carbon tax credits,
Yes.
and emissions and stuff like that. So, I mean, he became like an advocate for, he was telling the truth about climate change in a lot of ways, but he's using those facts in a way that was misleading the public. I would say that's probably true.
So this is a good way to pop off from the Al Gore's wealthy. Can we call Al Gore wealthy?
I would say so. I would say like I can't give you like any firm definitions of what a millionaire is. I would imagine it's like what they make, if they make more than $1 million a year, perhaps, or if they have like an accumulated total of over $1 million worth of wealth and capital.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is
Yeah.
because there's one thing that's really popular, and you and I were kind of corresponding about this on social media, about capitalism, good forms of capitalism, bad forms of capitalism, and unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to go through all of these things because we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, days, weeks, probably.
Days, weeks.
It's an ongoing conversation that's lasted a couple hundred years.
Yeah, the next time you come on, we need to just jump right into it.
Sure.
And because we got a lot of your background kind of taken care of for the next time that you come on.
Sure.
But defining a millionaire. So if somebody's going to bring in an income of $1 million a year and they spend $2 million a year, okay, and at the end of 10 years, they're negative $50 million. So, but let's just say that they're bringing in $1 million. Their net worth is always, let's say it's negative.
Sounds like they're living beyond their means.
They are, but I wonder if a
toast.
millionaire, I wonder if a millionaire can be dead ass broke.
Sure. I mean,
Can a millionaire be
Dude,
broke?
yeah. Have you ever heard of the people that win the lottery? It ruins their lives, dude. That money, like they just like, they blow it all. They, do bad things. They make all the wrong friends. They get like certain addictions, new habits, new tastes, and how they can spend their money, new family that comes out of the woodwork. Like, yeah.
I just wonder though, because I mean, you do either see those things or hear of those things.
Yeah.
Somebody who they don't have a lot of money, that's why they're playing the lottery. I don't know if the wealthy
So just wishful
play the lottery.
thinking. I mean, that's what that is.
Do the wealthy, do they play the lottery? Do they buy those $2 scratch-off tickets at the gas stations?
I don't know. I don't know a lot. I mean, I'm at, like the people that have wealth that I know probably don't play the lottery now. But you might know people that do. I don't really know a lot of people that do play the lottery.
Every person I know that buys a scratch-off ticket or any kind of game like that, any kind of gambling game from a gas station, every single person I know that does that, none of them have any money.
Right.
It goes back to like I was talking to somebody who does a lot of DoorDash, and 70% of all the deliveries of DoorDash are going to places where those people, you don't know. I mean, I don't know their financial situations,
Right.
but they're all in the not so ideal neighborhoods. Right. They're taking a look at people who should not be DoorDashing are paying for DoorDash. It's just a really kind of a weird thing. I would kind of try to, when you're trying to define a millionaire.
Well, some people don't have cars and stuff, so I would imagine that might be the reason why they get DoorDash. Is that what you're saying? That some people are getting DoorDashes that they probably shouldn't be getting DoorDashes, or?
I'm saying
It's just hard to say. It's food,
I'm saying,
man. Like people got to.
Here's what I'm saying is I'm thinking if somebody is trying to eat dinner and they do, and they're trying to build their wealth, and they've got a choice between tuna and crackers or door dashing, I'm saying you could build your wealth a lot faster by eating tuna and crackers. Like tuna is going to cost $2. The crackers are going to cost $1. So it's a $3 dinner. You're getting lots of protein. Hopefully your crackers don't have any processed seed oils in them if you're doing it right. But what I'm saying is the $32 DoorDash meals, that person is going to go negative a lot faster. Like they're going to run screaming away from wealth creation as opposed to going towards wealth creation. And I'm not saying that I've never ordered.
Well, here's
before,
what I would say. People that are poor already have it pretty bad, and so if they can afford to like have a good meal, they'll buy it. You know, if they're going to spend $32 to get a meal that they can enjoy instead of like trying to save $3 a day so they don't have to eat tuna and crackers to build wealth. I mean, $3 a day times a year, 365. That's barely like a month's rent. You know, a lot of times it's just like the gratification of like being alive requires you to spend like some extra money on food to like fill your belly. Because like if you're poor, life is already bad enough. But if you have to eat tuna and crackers just to like be a little less poor, that's like a great diminishment of someone's quality of life. And I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, if they're going to be disciplined enough to eat only like tuna and crackers, that they probably have the discipline to like do other things too, to like build wealth. You know,
I think we have to kind of operationally define the difference between poor and broke. So there were times
poor is just like, I think poor is mostly like it's not just one thing. It's like a combination of how much wealth they have, how much income they have, what their expenses are, and what they're able to keep for themselves, you know, every month. Because if someone they have to spend like half of their income just to like pay rent or whatever, it's gonna be a lot harder for them to like accumulate wealth or whatever. Because it's expensive just to survive, you know.
Yeah, so
it costs a lot just.
But there are people that they'll
live.
bring in $5,000 a month, and their rent is $2,500. So
that's half.
And
you can afford a house for less than that. Like there is housing available for less than $2,500 a month.
Well, I think I'm going to put them in the broke category. If they're bringing in $60,000 and half of all their expenses half of their income is going to rent, then we have to ask other questions too. Are they living alone? Do they have dependents? Because if they've got 5 dependents, now they're going to get shoved. They're going to get shoved from broke down to poor. I think poor is a really a tough word to use. You kind of have to operationally define, you know, when we're talking about climate change, wealthy person, millionaire. It's one thing that really drives me crazy. I was trying to figure out what the minimum wage was in Illinois, and I had to ask the robots to tell me. I did not know it was $14. If you ask Siri,
it's 14 an hour is the minimum wage.
I think that's what I mean. If you ask my supercomputer here, I think it's gonna say 14 an hour. Siri, what is the minimum wage in Illinois? Right here.
Yeah,
$14 an hour. But it's how
$7.25 federally.
Federal, right. But I mean, this idea of if you're making $60,000 a year and you're living alone, you have no dependents. You shouldn't be poor. You should not, or I shouldn't say you shall not, but maybe you should not. Like that might not be the best way to go if you're trying to use it.
You'd think that you could, not be poor if you're making that, and you're a single person with no kids. That can afford you a decent life, you know.
You should be able to make it, making $60,000.
Sure. I mean,
but if you have 4 dependents,
it changes it.
That's not, and there's no other income coming in, then that's a problem. You're going to have to move out of the $2,500.
Do you know what the median income is in Quincy?
Median.
Yeah, it's like half the people make more, half the people make less.
Yeah, not the mean, but the median. What is it?
Well, look. I think it's like 29,000.
29?
Something like that.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Or maybe 39. I don't know. I don't think it's that high, though.
I know the median price for a house in America is almost 400,000.
Yeah.
Which that's a lot.
It's wild. And an average car is like 40,000.
Anything coming up, Aspen?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like personally, like I would love to make more money so I can travel more and see the world and provide my daughter with a promising future as good as I can. But like I don't know, wealth accumulation to me isn't like, it's not a dominating, it's not an ever present thing that I like concern myself with. Hopefully that will be something that, like, because I've worked so hard to try to be really good at what I do, my hope is that like I'll be able to make those big pieces. Like even if I were to do like 2 a year of those big ones and then do a bunch of wedding rings for people, I'd be super stoked, but
yeah. And when we're talking about poor and broke, there's also spiritual net worth. There's emotional net worth.
Mm-hmm.
Like emotional net worth would be how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Your general mental acuity about your present environment.
Yeah.
And how you feel about it.
Yeah.
If you generally feel good about your situation or not in any given situation.
Yeah.
And people can tie much deeper things into it. Like,
sure.
Some people say, oh, I'm on the path to heaven. I'm on the path to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And these are, of course, concepts you also have to operationally define what heaven and hell is too. Because I think there's heaven on earth and hell on earth too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just about the afterlife.
Yeah. I'd love to, see a world that reflects more of that heaven on earth kind of thing. That would be nice.
Yeah. Do you feel like you don't see it enough?
I mean, not really. I mean, when I think about like, you think of like apocalypses, right? Like the end of people's times on earth, like of people, right? Like to like Native Americans, for example, like we are in a post-apocalyptic world, right? To them, like we were like, not we, but like Europeans coming here was like an apocalypse to them, right? Our apocalypse of our time is going to be either our inability to adapt to a changing earth that is becoming increasingly hostile to human life and life in general, or just like civil war, nuclear war, because we're becoming so polarized that people are losing the ability to talk to each other, and have rational conversations instead of devolving into like just like name calling and personal insults and stuff like that. But it all comes down to like people getting along and having like a single goal for us all. I think a lot of people get excluded from that conversation when it comes to like the decisions that are made on their behalf, especially about education and about like the food that we eat. It seems like it's becoming increasingly less healthy for us, and like there's food that's available in the U.S. that is banned like everywhere else. And that's something that we should all be concerned about.
Like Skittles.
Like Skittles, yeah.
Like Skittles.
Like I do, there should be a certain amount of like people can choose to consume the things they want. But like, man, if we can make those things safer for everybody, I don't see anything wrong with that. So, yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. I wish we could talk more.
Yeah.
For our listeners, I definitely check out Waylon Rhoads Jewelry in Quincy, Illinois. I think you'll be very impressed. You're an awesome dude. You have to come on a regular basis.
Yeah, I will.
With some of our other people.
Tell me anytime to come in. I'll come in.
Yeah, we'll tackle all kinds of things because there are dozens of topics that we can kind of go down. We can talk about all of the nerdy. Let's just nerd out.
Yeah, no, I love that.
We're in here. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful.
See you.